Hello, everybody, and welcome to CNF Talks, the series of interviews in which we speak to speakers at some of our forthcoming events to gain a few insights from them prior to the event being held. Today, it's my great pleasure to have with me Elise Soucie, who's Global Director of Policy and Regulatory Affairs at the Global Digital Finance. Elise, welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here and looking forward to the conference as well.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to having you speak at the Market Abuse and Market Manipulation Summit on the 27th of February in London. Let's go to the first question, if we may. Determining which crypto assets are covered by the market abuse regulation can be quite complex. For those that clearly are, such as security tokens, what forms of market abuse are most commonly detected in your experience?
So in October of 2023, as you probably already know, HMT released their response to their consultation on the future financial services regulatory regime for crypto assets. And that included a specific chapter on market abuse, proposing, as you noted, to introduce crypto assets to the market abuse regime based on elements of the market abuse regulation, or MAR, that already exists for financial instruments.
Yeah.
So this apply to all persons who are committing market abuse on a crypto asset that's admitted or requested to be admitted to a UK crypto asset trading venue, and it would apply regardless of where the person is based or where that trading takes place. Now, notably, 88% of the responses received to the consultation were supportive of that approach. And I think that's really important because while it's of course only representative of those who actually took the time to respond, I think it signifies a real willingness and desire of market participants to promote best practices within crypto and digital asset markets and for the regulation to be clear. So to come back to your first question, I think this is because there is significant evidence of manipulative practices in these markets. And there's a lot of detailed data on this that can be found. If you look at many, data and data analysis providers, there is good evidence of this. And I think the most common are probably pump and dump, trash and cash, wash trading, insider trading, spoofing, front running, and hard-coded rug pull scams. But these aren't necessarily new abusive practices, and they're not all unique to crypto assets, but they think there are some unique challenges in the markets of effectively policing that conduct because, these markets are highly globalized, they're fragmented, and the borderless nature of crypto markets makes it really difficult for the UK or another individual jurisdiction to address it alone and to address those risks alone. So I think it makes the need for global coordination and cooperation really clear.
Yeah, I guess that's the key point, isn't it? International coordination amongst the regulators. Do you see much sign of that? Is that what is happening now?
Definitely. And there is quite a lot that's happening, from FATF, there's guidance from IOSCO, from FSB. And so the coordination is coming, but definitely because the other jurisdictional frameworks aren't set yet, it's hard to know exactly how that's going to play out.
But for those crypto assets that aren't regulated by MAR, what do you think the regulatory response should be there? Do you think the regulation, for instance, needs to be expanded?
So there are a couple components there. I think first, yes, the regulatory regime for crypto and digital assets in the UK definitely does need to be expanded, and it's in fact already in the process of expanding. The Bank of England and the FCA, they just closed the consultation on stablecoins for systemic and non-systemic retail payments. They've laid out a roadmap for continuing to consult on other aspects of the regime. And with that expansion, I think we'll also see an expansion in market abuse regulation where appropriate. But the other side of this is that there are some places where MAR might not be compatible with crypto asset markets and where adjustments and not simply expansion may be needed. So I mentioned insider trading previously, but the definition of insider information, it's incompatible in some places with the crypto asset market, and it may only be relevant for a limited group of crypto assets such as stablecoins, because as with commodities markets, inside information in the context of crypto assets, it's likely to be different than when related to securities where there's always an issuer. So the technical details like this, I think will need to be adjusted as appropriate for frameworks. And another example is because of high retail participation in crypto asset markets, there might be a more nuanced approach that is needed for communication channels from regulators on rules and prohibitions that will be different from those under MAR that are used for professional markets.
Interesting. So that point about there not being an issue as such makes the insider trading regulations as currently drafted inapplicable or hard to apply.
Yeah, I wouldn't say inapplicable, but it would mean it might need some adjustment in order to actually cover the different types of digital and crypto assets that exist.
Okay. What aspects of compliance, KYC, AML policies may need to evolve alongside new technology because of any novel risks that are presented? And are there other areas where new technologies can mitigate compliance risks or indeed improve KYC and AML practices?
So I mentioned earlier, that a lot of these types of market abuse are not new, but I do think that there are a few which don't map across quite as clearly from the traditional asset classes. So I'll just pick one example, which is MEV, or maximal extractable value. So interestingly, a couple weeks ago, the FCA just published a research note on this topic, and MEV can be defined as a metric of value derived from phenomenon very specific to blockchain, where the transactions are ordered in such a way as to maximize the value you can extract from block creation. So this might involve adding additional transactions, excluding transactions by pushing them out of a block, or altering the order of them in the block production process. And the high degree of visibility that you have that's associated with transactions on blockchains that take place, that creates opportunities for the market participants to explore new strategies to maximize their economic gain from each block. Now, there's a huge spectrum of perspectives and opinions in the market on whether or not NFV is actually market manipulation or market abuse, but there are concerns that it may result in suboptimal outcomes for investors or opportunities for front-running like behavior. But this is different than what we saw before this technology existed. And the research from the FCA as well as others, it explores both kind of benign and malicious examples of MEV. But I think what is really evident is that for new market behavior like this that arises from new technologies, the regulatory framework really isn't clear yet. And so it's an area where the regulation will very much need to evolve because of those new risks. But on the flip side, this. I would say there's a positive as well, which is that, we mentioned transparency earlier and those tools and data providers in the market. And that also makes it clear that the new technology has the potential to really enhance monitoring transparency. And that is also because of the inherent features of blockchain and DLT and the increased visibility. So there are positives there as well.
Well, that's good to hear. Going back to your first point in your answer there, I guess the FCA's consumer duty and its focus on consumer protection would determine whether or not that sort of behavior was, if you like, market manipulation. If it results in a net negative for consumers, I guess that they would regard it that way.
Yes, they likely would. And I think that this comes back to as well the complication of the high retail market participation in these asset markets, which market manipulation, it will, and how they enforce it, I think will look very different depending on which market in which it operates, and if these are professional investors or if it's a retail customer such as you or I.
Fantastic. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, Elise. I could continue this conversation for a lot longer, but we're looking forward to teasing out these issues in more depth at the Market Abuse and Market Manipulation Summit being held in London on the 27th of February. We very much hope that our viewers will be able to attend the summit in person. More details available at the City and Financial website. It just remains to say thank you so much for being with us today, Elise.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Very good.